Are we soft launching Cascadia? Bills regulating grocery surge pricing and data centers, and our weekend recommendation. But first, I want to say this is it. This is the very last day to become a founding CityCast Seattle neighbor. We're hearing from you all that you all want to feel more connected to our city, and our podcast and newsletter are helping you guys do that. And we want to keep doing that, so we need your help. I would love it if you consider joining us as a founding CityCast Seattle neighbor. We're going to do fun, members-only events. You get free podcast listening if you join, and a special weekly events email from the CityCast team telling you what's going on in town. And you get an opportunity to shout out a business or organization that you love in town. And if you join today, and remember, it's the last day, you get this print of Seattle neighborhoods from local artist Emily Weissman. It's really gorgeous. It would look great on your wall. If you haven't already, consider joining us for $10 a month, $100 a year. Just go to membership.citycast.fm/Seattle. Again, that's membership.citycast.fm/Seattle. All right. So to kick things off for this episode, I want to hear from you, Marcus Harrison Greene, founder of the South Seattle Emerald and Hinton Publishing and columnist with The Stranger. What is one thing that you would buy no matter how expensive surge pricing makes it?
Oh man, I would say a 30 minutes at a bar with Seahawk Ernest Jones, because that was the most epic speech that he gave at the parade the other day. I did not get a chance to actually go in person, but my timeline was just filled with Ernest Jones speaks the truth about Seattle. I'm sure the listeners have heard it by now, but
no, for those listeners who have not heard it, what did he say?
Yes, sorry. This is a PG-13 show, or is it R?
It's fine. We can curse. You can bleep it out. That's part of it.
Okay. Well, he maybe was a bit inebriated, but he won slightly maybe.
All good.
But anyhow, I think he took to heart that Seattle Public Schools did not let the kids out, or did not excuse their absences. So he must have thought there was nothing but adults in Lumen Field. And so he went up to speak. He literally said, "I'm going to keep it a buck. I was probably the last person they should have gave this mic to." And then, you knew something else was coming. And then he was like, "Hey, if you have anything to say about my quarterback, anything to say about the offensive line, but most importantly, anything to say about the city of Seattle," he said, "I have 2 words for you." And he was like, "Fuck you." And it was just, I live in Beacon Hill, and I swear to you, I could hear the eruption from the crowd all the way from Lumen to Beacon Hill. And I was just like, that guy, okay.
All right, if you're listening, Marcus wants to get a beer with you, and he will pay any amount of money it takes for that.
It's priceless. It's priceless.
Also with us today, Andrew Eagleson, journalist and founder of Cascadia Journal. Andrew, what is one thing that you would buy no matter how expensive surge pricing makes it?
I'd have to say my espresso beans. I make espresso at home, and I'll pay any amount. I need that. I have a Gaggia espresso maker at home, and I make a lot of coffee, and I'll pay whatever. I need it. I'm an addict. I'll admit it.
We need that caffeine. I mean, that's a very Seattle answer as well. Need that that cup in the morning. Well, speaking of other Washington topics here, earlier this legislative session, both Washington and Oregon filed bills that would withhold money from the federal government, potentially. So in Oregon, HB 4143 allows the governor to withhold funds owed to the federal government if the federal government is withholding money from the state. So basically, if you all started it, we're going to continue it. If y'all are withholding money from us, we're not giving you our money either.
Tit for tat. Yes.
Tit for tat. Then there was Washington SB 6218, which proposed withholding of state payments if federal funding is withheld. So given that we have a short legislative session this year, fun fact for people that don't know, Washington alternates between a short legislative session on non-budget years, which includes this year, so it's 60 days, and then a longer legislative session during budget years, which is 105 days. So because we have the short legislative session, all bills that didn't pass a committee by last week are effectively dead. So I believe it includes this one. I still think it's really interesting to talk about the fact that both Washington and Oregon have introduced some version of this, trying to respond to the federal government withholding funds from our states, and wanting to do the same, not wanting to give them money. So, Andrew, I know you've been covering this a little bit. What happened with the Washington bill? It seems like it didn't get very far, and I'm curious why that is. Like, why did it get introduced but not move forward?
The short answer to that is that Governor Ferguson threatened to veto it. Basically, this bill would have withheld federal funding, federal monies that the state pays or the state owes the federal government. And that would include the federal taxes that they withhold for state employees. And it's interesting.
Yay, not paying federal taxes?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the federal, I mean, this is a response to the federal government having tried to withhold billions and billions of dollars. I think something like $5 billion in Oregon, probably close to that in Washington, funds for healthcare, funds for childcare, funds for education, highway funds. So, yeah, so that bill it did not get out of committee, and the Senate Speaker, leader, Jamie Peterson, said that bill was not going to get out of committee. An email that he sent to basically a friend who was trying to push that bill said that Governor Ferguson had expressed concern that his people in his administration could be subject to criminal prosecution for withholding those funds from the federal government. I mean, not that the federal government is threatening criminal prosecution for just about anything these days to leaders, but
yeah.
So, Andrew, your publication is called Cascadia Journal, and you've written before about the idea of soft secession. Are these bills kind of an attempt at that? And are we ready for that?
I think so. I mean, it's a way to assert the state's sovereignty. And, I think there are concerns that the Washington bill could be unconstitutional and that they're not, that they can't do that. I think there's an argument to be made that in this state, this sort of crisis, when the government is, not following the Constitution or threatening to take back appropriated money, that it's in our interest to push those limits and see what we can get away with. And the Oregon bill is not as ambitious, and they are just withholding not the federal income taxes of state employees, but money owed to the federal government. And that one has a better shot, I think, of both passing and being in the courts. But I think we need to consider increasing our autonomy from the federal government.
Right. Yeah, that Oregon bill, I believe on Thursday, there was a fiscal impact statement released on it. So it's still very much in play. Marcus, what do you make of all of this? Are we ready for a soft secession? Is it time?
I mean, I would agree with Andy in terms of it seems like there are a lot of people who are definitely have the appetite for it, I will say. I think the fact is, right, where you from various people's perspective, right, you have a federal government who is willing to undemocratically, move forward with things that are extremely unpopular. You look at what they're doing with ICE, and the fact that there are only I think 33% of people, the last poll that I saw, who are even have any type of favorability towards that organization right now, and yet the federal government is still moving forward. I think there's a point where, as somebody told me the other day, hey, they tried, we tried, it just didn't work, and so maybe it's time to try an alternative, which is shaking hands and calling it a day and saying, hey, we would like to move forward in this direction of progress, and you would like to continue to regress. You can do that over there. We'll do that over here.
I mean, is this a practical way of dealing with federal encroachment, do we think? Or is it just going to deepen the chasm between red and blue states that has already kind of been opened and is widening lately?
Well, I kind of, this is what I want to ask. Like, I was talking to a friend about this the other day. He lives in California, which is, I think it's the 6th largest economy in the world. And he said, You know what? Why don't we go ahead and do this, separation just for a little while? So then a lot of the red states can see just how much they rely on blue states to in terms of paying for, to subsidizing those states. And we can just have a bit of a reality check here. So I don't know.
Yeah, fun fact, Washington pays about $55 billion more in federal taxes each year than we receive back in funding our services from the federal government. So we are already subsidizing other states that are getting more than they pay into it.
And I think, this withholding of income tax or taxes, money owed to the federal government, I think it will work better if California joined us. I mean, basically, Oregon and Washington contribute about $200 billion in taxes to the federal government, which accounts for about 4% of all the taxes. And if you include California, which pays like over 800 billion in federal taxes, that bumps the number up to about 20%. So that would be, that would influence the federal government if we withheld that money.
Traditionally, Cascadia has been this region, right? So the Pacific Northwest writ large, including BC usually. What would it mean to add California into that? Are we going to have to change the flag and our regional identity and all that?
Yeah. That'd be such a badass country too, by the way. I mean, right. I mean, all the way up, from Bellingham down to San Diego. I mean, you'd have mountains, coast, wonderful looking hot people such as myself.
I'm a little more, I would like to not be in California's shadow so much, but if that was what we needed to do to make this happen, sure, it's better to be in their shadow than the shadow of Donald Trump.
Remember in maybe the mid 2000s when Facebook groups were a thing that you joined as part of an identity, there was one that was called "If It Takes 13 States to Make a Coast, You're Doing It Wrong," and it was like the group that all of the West Coast kids joined to mock the East Coast. So
well, I gotta say, wouldn't it be only fitting that on our 250th anniversary of this country that that it slowly disintegrates? I don't know.
Yes, we will see what happens before July.
I'm just...
All right, let's take a break. And when we come back, let's talk about some more bills that are still in play right now. We're probably not going to see Cascadia tomorrow, maybe by July, as Marcus suggests. But here are some other bills that are going on in this legislative session that might be able to meaningfully change the way that things work in our state. So a reminder, for bills to have stayed in play, they needed to pass through a committee by last week. And now the next hurdle for them is that they need to pass the chamber that they were introduced in. So if it's a House bill, they have to pass the House. If it's a Senate bill, they have to pass the Senate by February 17th, which is next Tuesday. So these two bills that we're about to talk about are still in play right now. Unclear if they're going to move forward. One is HB 2481, which prohibits surveillance-based price discrimination and surge pricing for retail goods. So there are three main things in this bill. First, it says that groceries or stores have to clearly mark the price of goods in a retail location. Two, you can't use surveillance-based discrimination to modify the cost of those goods. And three, if you are in a retail location more than 15,000 square feet, so pretty much a giant store, you can't use an electronic shelf labeling system in those locations. Marcus, Andrew, have you all encountered surge pricing in stores or seen this kind of electronic pricing?
I haven't individually encountered it. I mean, I certainly have read stories about it and listened to podcasts around it. I mean, it's kind of goes with what author Cory Doctorow talks about, the enshittification of things, meaning that you're not actually, the consumer isn't getting any more value for anything. It's just that, the seller is essentially realizing they can game the system, and that the product is what it always was, right? It's this roll of toilet paper should be however much, this pack of toilet paper, I should say, should be $3.50, and because they believe that they can, get an extra couple dollars out of you, they'll throw $4.50. It isn't that it's extra, a luxury brand or anything like that. So
Yeah, I haven't seen it. I shop at my local co-op. They don't even have automatic check machines. I just get to deal with an actual person every single time, and I love it. So
You
I'm definitely.
know, making small talk with your cashier is the lifeblood of American society, I will say. I feel like it is a necessary part of being a human in the world. I don't like the self-check machines, and they always get mad at me no matter what I'm doing. So, well,
Yeah,
to your point, Marcus, opponents say that businesses should be allowed to increase those costs during peak demand, like holidays or supply disruptions, and that doing so, if they're not allowed to do that, that could lead to chronic shortages. So, I mean, I'm thinking about Snowmageddon grocery shopping, like all the bananas are gone before we might have snow in the forecast, or COVID era toilet paper shortages. I mean, what do you think? Is allowing dynamic pricing actually a solution to that?
I mean, I hate to conjure up Ernest Jones again, but I mean, I would have two words for those people who believe that that's a thing we should do. And you know who else would? The United Food and Commercial Workers International Union, UFCW, actually just yesterday they announced a national initiative and campaign against such surveillance pricing. So, I mean, you have folks who are grocery workers, and I think I want to say that union makes up about 1.2 million grocery workers who are certainly anti this. Just they're anti in the sense that, one, I mean, they don't want to be culpable for doing this, and then two, they themselves are workers just like the rest
Yeah,
of
they're
us, and
buying stuff.
right, and they would also be subject to this. So, yeah.
Yeah, I know Instacart is apparently already doing this, and all of those apps that supermarkets use to give you little coupons are part of this surveillance as well. Um,
I gotta ask you, like, weren't we the whole 2024 election? It was about affordability, and like, I mean, is this like what's going on here? I mean, is it like, is there anything? It has the administration said anything about this? How they're going to ban this, or what? What's going on?
I am very curious also how these algorithms would work. Like, would it think that I should be a person who should pay more, or would it think that I should be a person who should pay less? I mean, I personally don't love the idea of being surveilled. Maybe this would work out in my favor, though. I don't actually know.
It is just the one time, like, if for folks like myself, African Americans, the racial profiling would work. They'd be like, you probably don't have as much money as an Andy Eagleson, so we'll give you $1 off or something. Like, what do
One
you
would
think?
one would hope that they would do that, but also, maybe, they would charge you more depending on, if a particular product that your community really wants is in short supply or something. I don't know. Yeah, I know.
It would be a really twisted outcome if somehow surveillance turned into reparations. But hey, you know what? I don't know. All right. Well, I wanted to shout out our listener, Denise, for sending us an email suggesting that we mention this one. We will be keeping our eye on what happens with this one. So next one I wanted to talk about was HB 2515, which proposes restrictions on data centers. With the rise of cloud storage and AI, big tech has this ever-growing appetite for data centers, and this bill, as introduced, would require companies to pay for grid updates instead of passing on those costs to the community, which is what has happened in a lot of other places in the country that have put in data centers. They have to share information on emissions, minimize energy use when the grid is strained, and pay a fee based on its energy usage. But a Republican amendment just took that last part out. So that would have brought in $30 million was the estimate. So advocates say everyone uses this data. So charging the companies that builds them stifles business, potentially. How should the state approach the construction of new data centers?
No. Sorry, the politely.
Big question.
I mean, Andy, feel free to chime in, but I would say yeah.
No, go
I
ahead.
would just say, oh, sorry. I just, no, you. No, I would say sort of exactly as they were trying to do before the, amendment, came out. I think that's honestly just baseline, right? It's like, why particularly you have these data centers that, yes, there are jobs that are initially created for their construction, but when it comes to actually the maintenance, the staff that's needed to maintain them, I think it's like equivalent to the staff of an IHOP or something, right? So it isn't as if you're getting any if a community is getting any direct benefit, from it, by giving them tax breaks or rolling out the red carpet for them, so to speak. I mean, I think we just saw it's Monterey Park, California, I want to say. They were a community that successfully beat back one of these data centers, for these very reasons. So it's like, okay, you're going to add to our energy grid, you're going to make energy costs more expensive for our community, and what exactly are we getting, for that? So I would say that it should be prohibitive, if you will, cost prohibitive for these data centers to exist. And if they want to essentially be in a community, then you need to showcase to a community that you can and should be there and aren't deleterious towards that community. So
yeah, and it seems like what I've heard about electric consumption in our state is the grid is just not set up for this, and it needs lots of funding to do that. And as you add more of these data centers, that just increases the demand. And it seems like these companies should be footing the bill for that. They should be helping out. And, Amazon just laid off, 16,000 workers. And, there's some talk that a lot of that was due to shifting things to AI. So, I mean, if you're creating these data centers to do lots and lots of more AI, you're maybe going to get a negative job effect. So the idea that these are sort of boosting the economy, it seems a little bit specious to me. But
yeah, speaking of Amazon, they just outbid Puget Sound Energy for a giant solar energy farm in Oregon. So it's actually in eastern Oregon, but it's not far from the border with Washington. And according to a story from the Seattle Times, Greg Kim, it's roughly the size of West Seattle. So it's huge. And they paid $83 million for it, which I don't know what the math is here on.
That seems low for some reason. I don't know.
I don't know what the math is on
That's
how much.
Certainly not all
paying.
the houses in West Seattle.
Right.
That's true. That's true. Well, I would guess that land in that portion of eastern Oregon is maybe less than what you would pay for West Seattle. But yeah, I don't know what the math is on how much they were paying the employees that they laid off versus what they just paid for this giant solar energy farm. But people are thinking that, of course, this is a way that they're going to be able to power some of their data centers. One of the things that advocates here in Washington are calling for with this bill on data centers is that it uses 100% renewables for those data centers, and also that there are limits on water use of those facilities. I'm curious what else you all would like to see our state do in thinking about data centers.
Would say tax the hell out of them to fund infrastructure and education myself. Just that's my first blush when you ask that question, Jane.
Yeah, get them to assist us in building a renewable energy system here in Washington. We've been on the right path. The state is requiring that we phase out polluting sources of energy, and there's that coal-fired plant in Centralia that they just shut down, and the Trump administration is suing to make sure that they keep burning coal. We need to be on the right track.
Andy, that clean coal.
An amazing little trick of marketing there.
Yeah.
Yeah, Washington has been a leader in sustainable practices and trying to shift towards renewables. And I mean, I think that there's a real shot at Washington being a leader here as well. But we'll see.
Yeah, I gotta ask too. Like, and I mean, I'm a business owner. I'm not anti-business by any stretch. But I mean, is there any can the industries just ever just be truthful and honest about stuff? Like, everybody's always like, is there any industry that's like, if you don't give us these tax breaks, we're gonna lose jobs, or if can't they just be honest and be like, you know what? we are probably going to, us being here, it is going to raise your energy levels. It is going to, we're not going to have as many jobs as possible. I think there are some communities who would just appreciate the honesty and maybe even be like, you know what, come on in. Well, it's we don't care that
You don't
much.
need to play the game before
Right.
they move in. Everyone lays all of their cards on the table.
Exactly.
Wouldn't that be a wonderful world?
We can always dream. Marcus, you're a dreamer, definitely.
Are we? Okay. What are the odds? Are those higher odds than Cascadia happening by July, or what's the?
Are we? Is this a wager? We're gonna have a
yeah. We'll get it on Poly Market. What's the?
Amazon's going to hear this and change their entire strategy now that they've heard us talking about it. All right, let's take a break. And when we come back, let's talk about our weekend recs. All right, y'all, it's the last day of our membership campaign, and I want to tell you a little bit more about this perk that I don't think we've talked too much about here. But when you become a neighbor, you're going to get invited to our regular members-only events, and we're really excited to do these because it gives us a chance to meet you and to actually talk to you about what you care about, and it gives you a chance to meet up with other people in our community, other neighbors that actually might live in your neighborhood. And you all can talk about what matters to you and maybe even make some new friends. I feel like especially in this time when people are really looking for community, we're really excited to be able to hold these events and to bring people together and to just hang out with you all. So we're going to look to be doing things that help you and us explore our city a little bit more. So we have ideas for volunteering meetups, for walking tours that are going to allow us to dive into the history of our city and just to get to know it in a different way. We're also probably going to do movie screenings. I mean, we all know Liam is a huge film nerd, so that seems inevitable. We have even thought about potentially doing Lunchables on the Hill next to Canlis, as one of our regular guests, Eula, had mentioned way back in the beginning. But we are always looking for deeper ways to engage with Seattle, and that is really what we hope to achieve with CityCast Seattle Neighbors. So if this sounds exciting to you, please do consider joining us as one of our founding members. You can go to membership.citycast.fm/Seattle. That's membership.citycast.fm/Seattle. See you guys out there. It is once again Friday, and I want to hear from each of you, Marcus and Andrew, what brought you joy this week, either personally or good news in the world, or what do you want to shout out?
Really, it really was Ernest Jones saying what he said.
All Marcus is thinking about.
I just, again, I think as I have been on this odyssey of my Seahawks fandom on this show, the listeners know that there's a lot of haters in my life from both Los Angeles and San Francisco and Boston apparently too. And so for him to say that wonderful line of, if you have anything to say about Seattle, F you, that is, that's near and dear to my heart, and I'm going to go to my grave. I want that on my tombstone. So
the ultimate
yes.
Catharsis.
Yes.
What about you, Andrew?
Gosh, I'm going to give you a Cascadia style answer. I went out for a nice walk, hike out at Lincoln Park in Seattle, and it was rainy, and I had a picnic in the car, but we had like some warm soup and some hot tea, and it was like so good to just like get out in nature, even if it's just close in the city, and be outside. And we had rain gear on, but it's just really nice to be out, and particularly because the ski season has been so bad. So, even just getting a chance to get out and get out in some trees and in the cedars and Doug firs was really nice.
Yeah. And I love Lincoln Park.
It's so nice.
For some reason, this is the first year that I've made a point of going there more often, and it's quickly becoming one of my favorite parks. And you're so close to Alki then, like just pop over on your bike and get a little bite to eat.
In the summer, you can swim at the saltwater pool there, Coleman Pool, which is down right on the shore there. It's a pretty cool place.
I didn't even know about that.
Yeah.
bookmark that for summer feels far away right now, but it'll be here
yeah.
before we know it.
Yes.
I wanted to tell our listeners a fun fact that I learned, which is that this week, in fact today, is the 15th anniversary of Rebecca Black's Friday. If you don't already know this iconic song, it came out in 2011. It was, at the time, released by a teen girl named Rebecca Black. It seemed like she had just signed up to make a music video for just fun. I think like people who come from families with money just get to make music videos. But the song blew up, and you've probably heard it before. But it is the 15th anniversary of this terrible little song gracing our lives.
Well, speaking of anniversaries of terrible songs, did you know that I believe February 15th is the 26th anniversary of Cisco's The Thong song?
Wow.
Jane. Yes. He made it a triple platinum hit off of what it was, it just 2 words, I think.
Yo,
The
I had
entire
that
song?
whole album. I don't know why I had the whole album, but I did have the
Wow,
whole album.
that's-
I've
that-
always wanted to shave my head and have it be silver the way that he had it back in the thong song days.
I for a while I was thinking about going like the platinum blonde that he had for a bit. but
Yes, yeah.
I thought against, and I was
Yeah.
probably wise. Anyway.
Well, I don't know, Marcus, you could do that this weekend, but I'm curious what else you two are up to this weekend. Are any events you all are going to? Anything you recommend people go check out?
I am going to go see an amazing Irish band, punk band, women-led, called Sprints at the Crocodile. I went and saw their
Sweet.
show at Numos, I don't know, a couple of years ago, a year and a half ago. And it was one of the best shows I've ever seen. They totally bring it, and tons of energy. And she was like standing up on this railing, and just like, it was super high energy and fun. I feel like the older I get, the more like punk related stuff. I used to listen to like classical and jazz when I was younger. And now in my 50s, I'm like, I want to get in the mosh pit.
You're Benjamin Buttoning in your music taste a little bit. Love that.
Yeah, so it's Valentine's Day tomorrow. So I'm taking my partner Danielle. We are going to the Metropolitan Grill. She's never been,
Classy.
right? And so we're going there, and overpriced roses and the whole bit. And then I believe we're gonna go see. I always get the name of the book wrong, but I think it's Wuthering Heights or Wuthering Heights. They have a new adaptation that I read on Rotten Tomatoes that is filled with carnality, so whatever that means. So I definitely am going to go see it. So there you go.
I saw the preview, and there's a lot of like longing stares between Margot Robbie and Jacob Elordi.
Yes.
That's really all I don't remember much of Wuthering Heights from like middle school English class, but maybe I'll reread and
Yeah.
see the adaptation.
And is it Charlie XL or Charlie MCM?
XCX.
XCX, okay.
Has a song in it. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I am doing something not that classy for Valentine's Day. My husband and I are doing a Valentine's Day time trial on our bikes. It's like a 2-person time trial. He's way faster than me, so I think basically the strategy is like I'm going to try and keep up with him.
Okay.
But I think it'll be
Okay.
fun. It's like a DIY little race. I filled out a Google form, and I'm just going to show up and see what that's all about. And maybe we'll get some Taco Bell afterwards. I don't know. Also, wanted to shout out that Lunar New Year is on Tuesday next week. And so over the weekend, I'm going to celebrate with my parents and just have a meal and be together. So
That's so
Sounds
cool.
heavenly. Sounds
Yeah.
lovely.
Yeah, I'm actually hosting a little Tet meal because I lived in Vietnam, and I learned how to cook a bunch of Vietnamese food. And so,
what are you going to make?
there's a great dish that's like, it has like tofu and egg and like 5 spice. And it's a lovely traditional dish. Yeah. So having some
God,
friends
that
over and
sounds so
doing
good.
that.
That sounds so good. All right. Well, enjoy both of you. And that's all for today here at CityCast Seattle. Marcus, thank you so much for joining us.
Always a pleasure.
And Andrew, such a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
I'm your host, Jane C. Hu. Special thanks to our executive producer, Ashley Smith, for filling in for me one of these days this week while I had jury duty. Our creative producers are Sam J. Leeds and Liam Billingham. Post-production this week was done by PJ Shahamat. Our audience development manager is Ben Keenan. Music is by Aaron Taylor Waldman, All the Kimonos, and Los Mocachetes, with additional mixing by Tyler Lindgren. Our ad music is by Sven Lindvall and Sarah, the instrumentalist, with Epidemic Sounds via Getty Images. And all right, this is it. I feel like I have been telling you all about CityCast Seattle Neighbors. This is my final pitch. You've heard me talking about it all week. If you are excited about what we are doing here, you want to continue to hear us make this podcast, you want to continue to get our newsletter, you want to hear us riffing about Charlie XCX, head over to membership.citycast.fm/Seattle to give the show some love and become one of our founding neighbors. Thank you so much to Scott C., Sam K., Mark M., Shayna S., Alan B., and a very special shout out to my mom, who I saw joined as one of our neighbors. It's $10 a month, and you get a custom CityCast Seattle tote, as well as exclusive benefits like invites to these member-only events, which I was talking about earlier, and the chance to shout out a business you love. And remember, we love hearing from you all. Send us your news tips, your questions, any thoughts you have about the bills that we have in play here in Washington. Send us an email at seattle@citycast.fm. You can also text us or leave us a voicemail at 206-880-3931. You can also get more local news and events delivered to your inbox by subscribing to our newsletter. Just go to seattle.citycast.fm. You can also find us on Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, and YouTube at CityCast Seattle. Until next week, see ya, Seattle.